There is a photograph that I want to show you that has generated quite the online discourse. You might remember, before looking at it, that the mandate of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was to make America healthy again. And as Aaron Rupar put it, make America healthy again lasted less than a Scaramucci. What is he talking about? Well, he's talking about these photos of the whole crew here, just a nightmare rotation of folks. Elon Musk, Donald Trump Jr., Mike Johnson, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. all eating McDonald's, which is such a funny aesthetic given all that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is advocating on behalf of. He looks to be in physical pain over this, but Trump, we pointed to the fact it's a little strange that Trump, who has his history with health, would be the guy who's going to usher in through RFK Jr. an era of great healthiness. Now, we've already talked about but there's just a funny, silly irony there. Much less funny, though, because having McDonald's once doesn't mean that you don't want to make the country healthier, is how unqualified RFK Jr. is, as you're seeing him there on screen, to be the person he's going to be, if it gets confirmed or through a recessed appointment, the Secretary of Health and Human Services. We're talking about the FDA, the CDC, the NIH. And with his anti-science, as a lot of focus has been put on correctly, anti-vaccine specifically, but also on other issues, he just doesn't understand the science often or misleads people on it. It is frightening that he'd have that authority. So a funny photo there attached to a much more serious discussion. CNN continues this here.
One thing that, of course, came out over the weekend that certainly rippled through my social media feeds was the photo of RFK on the Trump plane, doing something that he previously seemed to suggest he would never do, which is eating a Big Mac, or if maybe that's a Big Mac, I don't know, it's a McDonald's burger.
By the way, quickly, I don't want any of you to think that a bunch of judgment should be attached to this. It is notable that RFK Jr., as is being laid out here, criticized the Trump diet and is a stickler about it, and then here he is indulging himself. So that's interesting to point out. While we're continuing this conversation, please do click the subscribe button. As I mentioned in a different segment, we are now so close to 1 million subscribers because of all of you, and I appreciate you so much. So if you're not, please do. And I have to admit, I try to be generally healthy, and so I try not to make this a frequent thing. But when I do have McDonald's, oh, my taste buds love it, okay? I'm not going to lie to y'all. It is scrumdiddlyumptious, as bad as it might be.
On his face, I mean, it's worth noting, let's play what RFK had previously had to say about the food that goes on to Donald Trump's plane. Let's watch.
The stuff that he eats is really like bad. It's not, campaign food is always bad, but the food that goes onto that airplane is like just poison.
Can confirm that campaign food is always bad, but let's put his face back up there, with that, posing with that Big Mac, Alex Thompson, because this does not look like a man who's thrilled to be there.
Please stop showing the photo. I'm getting so hungry.
It's a hostage video.
Is that what this is?
And I also think, beyond it being hilarious and just the grimace on his face as he's being forced to eat poison to please Donald Trump, I also think it gets to what our conversation was before. There's some things that he could do at HHS that actually have a little bit of bipartisan support, sort of shaking up pharma, shaking up the FDA and what, stuff we eat. The thing that's going, but there is not a bipartisan consensus on his views on vaccines, on a lot of his more conspiratorial thoughts, and that's going to be, the really interesting thing if he does get confirmed, as Isaac was saying, what he actually does when he has this sort of power could have like profound consequences.
Yeah, I think it's a good point because there are some things that he's proposing. I mean, fluoride in water, for example, is one of the conversations that's been had in Western European countries, some of whom have removed it, right? And there is oftentimes, and we've talked about this on the show, a kind of a health-related consensus where the right and the left come together, sometimes in conspiracy theory,
yes,
but sometimes not. All right.
That's what's unfortunate is that on some things in different areas, like putting to the forefront of our political discourse the ambition to make our country healthier, given that compared to our industrialized country counterparts, we have such bad health outcomes. Part of that is us having a better healthcare system, and part of it is implementing policies that make communities healthier and individuals healthier. It's unfortunate that RFK Jr. and his lack of understanding of so many things is going to end up distracting from and preventing what could have been a more united pursuit of a healthier future. And we should focus on the globally devastating impact that he could have if he implements his radical views on vaccines nationwide. So, of course, that's going to get justifiable attention. But again, it will be an impediment to a real, thoughtful, science-based, potentially uncontroversial discussion about how to make the country healthy. Even though if Democrats ever propose things like when the Obamas were addressing obesity, Fox News, we showed those clips, I think it was on a bonus show or something, did all these segments about how anytime it's a Democrat who wants to do that, oh, you're trying to tell me what to eat, you can't. That's not what we're saying. Calm down. But anyways, then this presence of RFK Jr. has caused other Republicans to just start descending into mindless defenses of these anti-vax views. Here's Markwayne Mullin, who is... I'm not going to say what I was going to say. It had to do with the sharpness of attack, okay? And he has some thoughts on vaccines.
Scrutinize all of those picks robustly. But Senator, let me just go back to this because you've been on the record saying that you do believe vaccines are safe and effective. You're not concerned about RFK Jr. overseeing the largest health agency in the land?
I have said that there's some positives to vaccinations. I've also questioned vaccines multiple times, and I think they should be questionized. For instance, why is America highest?
Questionized? What does questionized mean?
And I think they should be questionized. For instance, why is America highest in autism? But what is causing that? Is it our diet, or is it some of the stuff we're putting in our children's system? It used to be almost not even heard of. Then it went from 1 to 10,000, then to 1 to 5,000, 1 to 2,000. In some races right now, 1 out of every 36 kids by the age of 3 have developed some form of autism. What is causing that? And if it is the vaccines, there's nothing wrong with actually taking a hard look and finding that's what's causing it. Okay. Is it something else that we're putting in our systems? We do know.
Scrutinize.
Yeah. Why don't you're on national television. I'm so tired of this. I'm going to go and just spitball. Why is it? What's this? Maybe that. If it's this, then maybe that. But I don't know. Then don't speak on it. If you don't know, then don't speak on it. Because no, we have been studying this for a super long time. It's not the cause of autism. Vaccines, that is. It's not exacerbating rates of autism. It's so extensively studied. Would you do just like this much research before you go in front of everyone and go, I don't know, beats me, Mark Wayne? Then you also saw Donald Trump Jr. in that photograph, so let's check in on him.
I know that you've played a major role in helping to shape President Trump's cabinet. I'd like to know, what is the common theme behind these choices, if there is one?
I think Yeah, I think the reality this time is we actually know what we're doing. We actually know who the good guys and the bad guys are. We know who the guys are fake. And it's about surrounding my father with people who are both competent and loyal. They will deliver on his promises. They will deliver on his message. They are not people who think they know better as unelected bureaucrats. And so a big part of that process is just something that we didn't understand in 2016, where he came to Washington, D.C. He had no experience. He didn't know any of the 4,000 people that make up the Plum Book, which are the presidential appointees. So now we have a great understanding of that, and we can have a cabinet that is so powerful in delivering the America First message that the American people clearly voted for on November 5th.
Will you have a specific role in the administration? How do you see as the best way to help serve your father and the nation?
No, I don't want to roll in the administration. I want to be very active until January 20th. I want to make sure the people that surround him are the greatest people we can possibly assemble, the smartest minds. You know, when you look at it, not just this cabinet, but the people who are on the outside, whether it's Elon, Bobby Kennedy, obviously being in the cabinet on the health side, Vivek, who you had on earlier in the show. I mean, we have an incredible opportunity, perhaps a once-in-a-generation opportunity to really make a difference with people, minds that you wouldn't otherwise find in government, frankly. It's truly
Good for government. It seems like they're crafting a joke roster that then they'll go, that was a prank. Of course, that's not what they're doing, but that's how absurd it is. I think MAGA folks would have said, oh, Luke, you're strawmanning our our argument and platform by saying if Trump wins, he's going to put Elon here, Bobby here, Vivek here, Matt Gaetz there. Who else? Pete Hegseth there. No, come on. That's not what he's going to do. And then he does it. And then one other little thing I wanted to update you on. People are misunderstanding the popular vote margin that Trump won by, thinking that that was a landslide. While he did win a lot of electoral votes, his popular vote victory was actually a narrow margin. He won, true. Don't allow misarticulations of what actually took place to be the justification for saying you should just bow down and give up on what is right.
Historically speaking, Donald Trump is now under 50% in the national popular vote, barely under 50%, but he is under 50%. And I want to take a look and compare his popular vote victory to those, historically speaking, over the last 200 years. His popular vote victory ranks 44th out of 51. That ain't exactly strong. Some might argue that is weak, in the words of Tony Blair. In fact, his popular vote win at this point is the weakest, going all the way back. You have to go all the way back to 2000 to find a weaker one, a smaller popular vote victory than Donald Trump currently has. So, yeah, Trump has won the popular vote, but it ain't all that, my dear friend John Berman.
You know, George W. Bush had a bigger popular vote
Yes.
in 2004. And if you're looking at a combination of popular vote and electoral college vote, look, Obama twice
Correct.
had bigger popular vote and electoral college vote victories.
And Joe Biden.
Right. And I've been in numerous conversations now with people who voted for Trump. Some for the show that we're going to release. We already released one, and then I was interviewed for something. And so often the question's posed, isn't it time now that you admit that the American people have spoken and you're wrong and you should concede that you're wrong and Trump's right and he must be great because he won by this huge margin? When in reality, he didn't even get the majority. He got a plurality. Kudos. And he got a solid electoral margin. But when that's a Democrat, as was cited there, I never hear Fox News or Republicans go, isn't it time that we admit Obama's just right? Or when Biden got 81 million votes, instead they created a whole lie about how those were fake votes. So once you all acknowledge that you've been wrong, if we're doing the popular vote thing in almost every election for decades, because Democrats in the presidential elections have been winning the popular vote, even when Republicans win most of the time, then if you can do that, then maybe I'll come to the table and go, oh, introspection time. No, I'm willing to engage in introspection, but not concede on what is right because a lot of people voted for what is wrong. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Support the show. Get the bonus show by clicking that join button below.